Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with a review of the Transformers Power of the Primes Voyager class Grimlock. Yes, that's right, Grimlock, leader of the Dinobots, first appearing in the toy line in 1985, starring in the cartoon starting in 1984, and now a combiner with his original teammates. Yes. So let's take a look at him. And him in his T-Rex form. His T-Rex form, more so based on how they thought the T-Rex looked like, or at least was postured, back in the 80s, as opposed to what they knew of by the time we got to Jurassic Park. Of course, feathers are still a question, but we got a more, since this toy line is more heavily G1 inspired rather than any modern updating, we get a very 80s looking Grimlock here, and in parts it looks very much like the original toy, other parts not so much, and the other parts are mostly because of combiner stuff, combiner bits and pieces to make him be able to combiner. But taking a look at the head here, it is a very nice head for Grimlock and very accurate to his Dino Mode. Predominantly gray, got a nice row of teeth going on there, no paint on them, but it's not necessary. Red for the eyes and an Autobot sticker on his forehead. And going down to the neck, we see the same clear plastic on gold on top of gold paint as we do on the other Dinobots, with some nice detailing on there. And then we get to the chest, predominantly gray with some panel lining, some stickers here and there to evoke the original toy line. That one looks like an iPod or something like that. Buttons and doodads and whatnot everywhere on those stickers. And then we get down to here and we get a lot of more of the clear plastic on top of gold paint stuff. And this is Grimlock's robot mode chest, though I'm not sure of the original proportions of the original toy because I never owned it and I don't own it. But this feels wide to me for the Dino Mode. It feels like Grimlock's got like his butt just bloated looking at these proportions. Like the top looks great and then it just bloats out. Maybe if the legs run better, maybe it's just because how the legs feel a little far out. I don't know, but it feels like he's a little wide there. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of the legs, you got the legs. They are mostly in gray. There's a little bit of gold paint in there. There's a little bit of red on there. Some nice detailing going on all over the place. Bunch of detailing here. He's got pretty thick back leg sections, but these are combiner ports, so they're kind of needed, unfortunately. A little bit of gold paint on the little toes there, I should say, both on the front and on the back, on both sides. Then we get to the tail, the really thick tail. These are details we'll talk about more in the robot mode. Get a little bit of gold there and there. You got a couple kind of spike things, and then you got the tail, main tail section there, which you can see is not like really connected to the main part of the tail, and you can kind of tell it's not like real. It's kind of on top of what will be his robot mode legs, as opposed to being like a complete tail that's like everything just lines up correctly, and you can tell the tail's a bit thick and wide and a little awkward, but that's because they need the robot mode legs, but still. And then you get to the back of the Dino Mode, and that's just admittedly a bit atrocious because this is the combiner mode waist piece. There's bits trying to hide the combiner mode head. So yeah, unfortunately this mode suffers a fair bit due to needing to be a robot and a combiner torso as well. That's really unfortunate. Grimlock is so far the worst sufferer of the Dinobots, but he does need to do more to be able to be a solid torso. Anyway, moving on, since he is a dinosaur and he has articulation, his head is able to rotate up and down like so. His mouth is able to open that far. That's a very nice bite you got there, Grim. His arms, his tiny Dino Mode arms are able to rotate. They can rotate a full 360. They are on a ball joint. They could do in and out, swivels and whatnot. There are no other joints on that arm, so everything else is stationary. His legs can do a full 360 degrees, and you can bend his legs that far forward and that far back at the knee. You can also have this joint, but that's for the arm in his robot mode, so let's not talk about that. it would have been nice if that locked into place so that like didn't move when you were trying to pose at him, but whatever. And then his tail can also do a fairly decent wag. He's got very tight ratchets, but he can wag that tail a bit. You can also wag just the top of the tail if you want. With that articulation, though, you can get him into a bit of a more of a modern dino pose, though the tail is pretty back heavy, so he is probably going to fall over, unless you can get him a good position. Maybe if you straighten out the legs like so. Yeah, that's a bit more modern dino, modern T-Rex, I should say. But especially because of the details and how it's all designed, this definitely does work better as of the older idea for what a T-Rex was posed like. But that is all there. Oh, no, wait, nope. We got to talk about his accessories. He does come with these 2 prime armor pieces, which do form bucklers for his modes, and they also form the combiner feet. You can see all the details on there, the spikes that match the spikes on the deluxe Dinobots prime armor pieces. You got this joint up here, which it allows for the ankle tilt for the foot modes. You got this bit right here, which allows for the fitting of Prime Masters or Titan Masters if you so choose. And a 5mm post there, and a 5mm post there. This 5mm post, though, is a bit more important, or more useful, I should say, because it allows for the combining of Prime Mode hands, since all four limbs will come with Prime Armor hand pieces, but you don't need 4 hands, so you can either use the extra hands to buff up a Combiner torso, or you can use them as extra heel pieces, so you can give them a bigger footprint to make the Combiner overall more stable, which is very nice. You can also put them in those ports right there, but I don't understand why they're there, but they exist, so it's an option. It's certainly an option. And then there are 5mm port holes on the bottom, which are used to combine, or well, store on Grimlock's Dino Mode like so. It's a little silly, but that's the official storage from the instructions. So just so you're aware, you are capable of doing that. Yeah. Besides that, he also comes with an Enigma of combination, specifically the Dinobot Enigma. If you don't know, the Enigma of combination allows Transformers to combine, and it has been seen to take on a couple different forms, so I guess this is supposed to be what the Enigma looks like when it's possessed by Grimlock or the Dinobots, and then allows them to combine, which is nice, which is very nice. It's a hollow piece. It's a hollow block with a little connector bit and a little bit of red paint in the center there. And it can fit into the gaps of the Voyager armor, the deluxe armor, or any other compatible ports. So you can make this a head of a Titans return figure because they have the exact same ports. So yeah, you can that look really creepy on a bot, gotta say. But yeah, that's all there is to say on Grimlock in his Dino Mode. So let's look at some size comparisons with him in his Dino Mode, starting with Legends Class Bumblebee. And you can see how he scales. He's a little awkward because he's a dinosaur. He's a T-Rex, so I'll try my best. Here he is next to Chrome Dome, Deluxe Class Chrome Dome. You can see how they scale. Voyager Class Megatron. You can see how that scales. And Leader Class 6-Shot. And you can see how they scale. So Grimlock actually ends up being longer than 6-Shot. I mean, 6-Shot is certainly wider and all of that. And a quick extra comparison, here he is next to the Dinobots that we have so far, Slash, Slug, and Swoop. And you can see how well they all fit together. And they do fit together quite nicely, I must say. But yeah, that's all there is to say on Grimlock's Dino Mode. So now let's roll right along into the combined torso mode before we get on to the robot mode.
So to get to the torso mode, first we're just gonna get things out of the way by pulling these pieces apart. These two tabs go into those two slots right there, and you just pull those apart. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these pieces and we're going to pull them apart. Those two pegs go into those two slots right there, and you're just going to rotate them up on this double hinge like so, and collapse it, combine and connect it like so. Next, what you're going to do is going to rotate the arms like so, and then they're going to tab in that position. And then we're going to come over here, and we're actually going to flip. We are actually going to flip out the fist for this mode. And then we're going to fold the arms down like so, with this tab right there going into that slot right there, allowing that all to hold in. Come on, get in there. There you are. This doesn't like to tab perfectly for whatever reason for me. But you just have to work it and then you'll get it. And you'll do that on the other side. Do that. This fist is a lot trickier for me to get out for whatever reason. Fold that out. Get that tabbed in again. Fold it down. Fold it all around. And there you are. Next thing you're going to do is you are going to take this entire assembly and you're going to lift it up from these two tabs that were in those slots right there. It's going to be hard to see because it's all black. So there's a slot right there and a slot right there for these two tabs. And then you're going to fold this up and then fold it down. And these two tabs are now going to go into those two slots right there. Like so. We'll just fold the head down for the time being. And we'll come over here and that tab right there will go into that slot right there. And to hold that all in place, and then you just get the arms like so. So we're going to come down here, straighten out the tail. I'm going to rotate. Well, actually, first, before we do that, we're going to come back here, and we are going to fold this waist piece down, and then we can rotate this freely. Then we're going to come down here, split the legs. And that'll teach me to not check my storage on my phone before I start recording. Unfortunately, I can't start over again at this point, but I will continue from where I left off, and we are folding the legs out and tabbing them into the legs. This tab going into that slot right there, and then rotating them around and banging them out like so to give enough breadth for the legs, enough room for the legs to move. And the last thing you need to do is to come up here. You're going to pull this tab. That piece. Flip the red bit up. Fold it out. Fold it down with that tab going into that slot on the back of the dino head neck right there. And then fold that red bit back down. And there you have Grimlock in his torso mode, and boy does this look pretty cool. This looks like a very, very nice torso. And yeah, all I can say about it in its torso mode is that it looks neat. I'm not going to show off the full combined mode since I don't have all of the limbs, and I'll save looking over Volcanicus himself for a separate video after I get all of the other pieces. But I will say I have tried limbs on this guy, and while it does look very nice currently, but when you get limbs on there, it does turn out that the arms do come out very far out to the side, and then this is pretty empty, I will say. But that's why you have options for the hand pieces to become torso bits, though I do wish they had designed a little differently so you didn't need it, because it looks really, really gappy with those. This is a big Dinobot combiner. His torso should look powerful, and then it's like, whoa, well, that's a skinny torso you got there, powerful combiner guy. But one thing I will do is show off how to connect. The main thing you do is that you see these holes right there. They will fit the 5mm tabs on the combiner fists, and you just peg them on in, fold them in, and then there's a little groove back here to fit the little tab on the thumb So that all holds in nicely, and that's how you connect hands to the torso. And I will show more of connectivity and variety of things you can do once we get there. But I just wanted to show that off now if you want to try combinations with Grimlock out. But yeah, taking a closer look at him. And it's a very nice head. Very powerful looking head. Predominantly black, a little bit of a bit of a silver chin strap, red visor, and gold crown. I'll call that a crown. I will gladly call that a crown. Then you got the Dino Mode head going down on the chest there. A little bit of a gap between the jaw and the head, but I don't think that looks too bad. You got the tiny dino arms sticking out there. You got those gold bits from the legs there. There's one of the combiner pegs. There's the other combiner peg. You got a lot of red going on here, and the waist piece is very much mostly silver with a little bit of gold in the middle right there. And then the legs, you see the gray, all these nice detail, the gold bits from before, and the combiner peg, the combiner port, I should say, there. And then you can see the back, and the back looks very clean. The back of the legs are pretty flat, but for the most part, this is pretty neat. This is pretty nice. Again, this is one of the modes that this toy was designed to accommodate the most. So Grimlock's Dino Mode suffers because of this mode, but it does look quite nice. No point for a size comparison at this point, so we are just going to roll right along and get him to his robot mode. And we're actually admittedly not too far off from the robot mode. So what you got to do is you're going to turn the legs around like so, straighten them out, and straighten them out some more. Straighten them out some more. And then rotate, and then fold this piece back up. This is a very tight hinge, I will say. Fold it back up, tab that bit into that right there, so that holds. And you got Grimlock's robot mode legs all done. Very simple, I will say. Next we're going to fold the head forward like so as we can get to this red piece, and then we can fold all of that in like so. We actually want to have that piece on top of the red piece. So yeah, make sure the gray piece is on top of the red piece and the head is underneath all of that. But yeah, there's that. Then we're going to come back here. We're going to untab the robot mode chest from the crotch, and then tab everything back into the way it was before. And there you got the robot mode chest. Then you untab the arms, straighten them out, rotate them down, untab them again, and then fold them down. Untab the wing, straighten out the arms, untab, rotate, and there you got the arms all done. The last thing you need to do is untab the dino head, fold it back. This tab will go into that slot right there, so I'll tab down, straighten it all out, and there you have Grimlock in his robot mode, and he looks pretty good. He looks very pretty good. Very pretty good, I will say. That was a bad sentence, but he is very pretty good, I will say. His legs and his arms are a little off proportion. His arms should be thicker, but not this way because that's just for the combiner bit. But I will agree that with what some people say, and that like the proportions could be better. I don't mind it too much, but I will certainly note that I do notice it a fair bit. The chest looks fine in this mode. Well, it looks better in this mode compared to how it looks on the Dino mode. But it is very nice. Taking a closer look, you see Grimlock's head. Very nice, very G1. All black faceplate, red visor going on there. You see the chest, that was basically the crotch of the dinosaur form, and with the clear plastic and the gold paint and the Autobot symbol there. You see the red that made part of Volcanicus's crotch. A bit more red for the crotch. He's got black upper thighs, a little bit of red there, predominantly gray shins, and some bit of sticker detail, again to pull references to the original G1 toy, and then just gray bits right there. He doesn't, and the weird thing about him though, I will say, he doesn't really have feet. Like, what would be the feet? Like, these look like these are the closest things to the feet, but like, there's absolutely nothing to indicate that like, that's where the leg, that's what they're supposed to be, because there's no, Like they're maybe it's just more so because of how it's molded, but it looks like just one solid part of the leg, like the feet were just cut off or something. But there is like that thing standing out there to be like, oh, this is where the foot would be, and then you got the tails being the heel. But I don't know why I made such a fuss about that. That doesn't really bother me, but I did make such a fuss about it. It's just awkward, but I don't mind. I'm just like, that's awkward. I really don't know why I made a big fuss about that. And then you see the arms here, the arms that were the robot leg, or the Dino Mode legs, I should say. And then you got his fist right there, and all of the blackness and that nice detail going on there. And then you see the backpack, which is the Dino head, the wings with the Dino Mode arms, and then Volcanicus's crotch on there. And for the most part, yeah, it's a bit backpacky, but I mean, that's how Grimlock was. And since this is directly representing the G1 version and being based off the G1 toy, basically with articulation and a combined form, it does what it needs to do. It really does do what it needs to do. So it's very good. For articulation, his head can rotate. It cannot rotate a full 360 because his chin, this hinge with everything gets in the way there. Excuse me, I've been getting a little sick, I think. If you get the wings out of the way, you can rotate his arms a full 360 on that nice ratchet, and you can get them to go that far out. If you tab them in, you can get them to go that far out. There is a bicep swivel, and then you can bend them here at 90 degrees, and you can bend them at that joint for nearly 180 degrees. Double elbow joint is interesting, certainly. His fist only articulation is the transformation joint, if that serves any purpose, and he does have a 5mm post in his hand. His waist can rotate, though the combiner waist piece is going to get in the way a bit, but you do get some waist articulation there. You can, if you move it out of the way, you can get a full 360, but then it starts to get weird, I will say. So it can, but I don't recommend it. His legs, they are able to go that far forward, that far back, and they can go really far out. That's way more than a spread. Grimlock, you are a good high kicker, my dude. His knees are able to bend at a 90-degree angle, and he has a thigh swivel for 360 degrees of rotation. And since I complained about it, it seems, no feet basically. No foot articulation or ankle articulation at the very least. For the prime armor, he can wear them on his forearms using these 5mm posts to store them on his forearms like so. And like so. Or you can take this post and put them into those holes on there and have him wear them like that if you want. Though I do prefer them being more up on the forearms, since that does feel a little more Grimlock, being beefy, strong guy. Yeah, and then the combiner and then the Enigma can go on there. I did forget, and I'll bring it up again in the Volcanicus video. Since the Dino head forms the Volcanicus's chest, you can stick the Enigma in there, and then the Enigma is on Volcanicus's chest. I'll bring that up again in the other video. I did forget that right now, though. So yeah. But yeah, that's all there really is to say about Grimlock and his robot mode. So now let's get into some robot mode size comparisons. Here he is with Legends class Bumblebee. And if Bumblebee's not shrugging, I can show you that he comes up to about there on Grimlock. Legends class Chrome Dome, where he comes up to about the top of those tab holes there. We have Voyager Megatron, and Grimlock's a bit shorter than Megatron. He's about half a head shorter than Megatron is, which Huh. That's all I have for that. Huh. And then we have Leader Class 6-shot. And you can see Grimlock comes up to about the top of those doodle thing, the circle things on 6-shot's chest, whatever they're supposed to be. And of course, here he is with the channel's mascots, Soundwave and Wheeljack. And you can see how he looks next to them. And then for a quick comparison, here's Slug, Slash, and Swoop, the Dinobots that we have so far. So you can see how they all look together. Ooh, I knocked the camera. Whoopsie daisy. But yeah, there's the Dinobots that we have so far. But yeah, all in all, Grimlock's all right. He's certainly not doing as well as his deluxe brothers in terms of being a good representation of his G1 toy and successfully integrating the combiner gimmick. The combiner mode's great. The combined torso looks really good. Like I said, there are some issues in terms of how it looks when it's fully combined, but I'll talk more about that in the Volcanicus review when I get the other limbs in April or something. His robot mode's pretty nice. Very faithful to the original toy. His Dino Mode does its best to be faithful to the toy, which it does succeed in, but because of needed changes to accommodate for robot mode stuff and combiner mode stuff, it does suffer a fair bit, unfortunately. So Dino Mode's the weakest mode, robot mode, second best mode, torso mode, best form, which it's a combiner, so the torso mode also needs to be good, but it's unfortunate that the Dino Mode had to suffer as it did for it. I think it could have been better, but overall, Grimlock's decent, in my opinion, at the very least. You can see, you saw the review, you can make your own opinions based on what your personal tastes are, but that is all I have to say on Grimlock. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack signing off.